So welcome along to another episode of Blast Bites. Today I have Isla Britton. Isla is the current British Triathlon champion, which is awesome, but she's not just the only won it once, she's won it 3 times. 2017, 2018, 2019, and obviously last year there weren't any champs for you to go and get that title again, Isla. But I mean, that's some trophy collection you've got there. First question, do you get a trophy when you win the British champs?
We actually get a trophy and a medal, so you come home with a lot of hardware.
That is nice, a lot of bling. Oh, very good. So I hope you don't mind me saying, but you're only 17, so I mean that's a huge achievement already. When did you start? I think I started running about age 14, but nothing along those lines. Have you been a runner, triathlete for years?
Well, I actually started out because my parents were marathon runners. I started running when I was 4. They would let me run 200 meters and then walk 200 meters. And then when we moved from Canada to Scotland, they got us up in the hills, so we were climbing Munros and stuff. And I found triathlon when I was 8, but I couldn't swim and I couldn't bike. I could only run. So I learned quite slowly. I was really bad at biking especially, but I worked at it. And when I was 12, I represented Scotland for the first time. And now I race elite for Canada, actually.
So you were born in Canada, and your parents, are they Canadian or are they Scottish?
Yeah, my dad's Welsh and my mum's Canadian.
Oh, right. So
yeah.
So you raced for Canada. Super.
Yeah, I raced for Scotland and GB, but there came a time where I had to pick, and I chose to race for Canada because I feel like I'm more Canadian than Scottish. But yeah.
Great. Oh, and what difference does that make? Does that make a difference of what races you can compete in, or what difference does it make who you're competing for, which country?
Well, obviously the tri-suit you wear and the flag that you have. But, other than that, it means I can race in Canada, so I often go there. Well, not during COVID, but I go there and race, and I can race Continental Cup, so all of North America and South America. And then it also means I can race here and in European races, which is so it's really opened up to lots more races. That's fab. And would you have so obviously I've got blast running and I've got a running background, and of the 3 disciplines that would probably be my strongest, but do you have what's your strongest discipline, would you say, of the 3? I'd say my strongest is running, and it's my favorite, but biking comes a close second.
Cool. And because I think when friends have been injured, running friends have been injured, they've maybe turned to the bike to keep up fitness and what have you. And I suppose the common thing that I've heard them say is that you just have to go so much longer on a bike to feel the same cardio.
Yeah.
But would you agree, or is that maybe just the way they're training?
I would definitely agree. Like 1 hour running is like 2 hours cycling for sure. Running's a lot more demanding because of the high impact. Like running on tarmac, especially, a lot of impact through your legs, and it's harder, like cardiovascularly. But biking's a great cross training. Like I love it. Doing the 2, especially now in lockdown when we can't swim, it's just bike run. But yeah, so good. But I mean, running just gives you so much freedom. It's like such a mental escape. It's amazing. So
yeah. And are you someone to listen? Do you enjoy listening to music, or do you just or podcasts, or do you just run without anything in your ears?
It depends on the session. So obviously, if I'm doing a harder session, it will be hardcore music to get motivated and stuff. But just of where I live, I can run on the West Highland Way, so I won't go with music there because the scenery is so beautiful, and focus on that and get all my thoughts together and stuff, especially on long runs.
Yeah. And when you're training, you know, you're an elite athlete. What does every run count as such, you know, or do you just go out for some easy long one sometimes and not think about the next competition or the constant metrics, I suppose?
Well, every run has a certain distance and pace because there's a goal, there's an end goal. So it's always, for example, today I had an hour easy run after biking, which is 5 minutes a kilometer. Just go out, run an hour, so 12K. So, but I don't really think about it when I'm running. I'm not looking at my watch. I know my paces quite well. So I just run and just enjoy it. Well, not today. The weather was really bad, but
I know it was horrible. And so you obviously have a coach, and does he or she make up a kind of a plan for you? Is it every week, every month, or how is that done? Do you know?
Well, we always sit down twice a year and have a big, massive year plan and sort out races when there are races, and then each week he'll put all my training for the week up into Training Peaks, which I can see. So he'll add comments in and explain like the goals of the session. And he texts me, and we have quite an open dialogue. Like, he likes to hear my input about sessions because we work really closely together. So I'll be like, oh, I think we should do this, and he'll be like, oh, we're doing this because of this. So it's really good. I love it.
So like sometimes you might be thinking, oh, that was a bit too easy, we could go harder. And he's saying, oh, you needed an easy session because I've got harder stuff coming next week, or right, okay.
Well, sometimes he'll put easy stuff in. I'm like, I know I can go harder. He's like, no, calm down. I think that's the biggest challenge.
That's good. I'm glad to hear that actually, he's they say that rest days are so important as well as the hard stuff. So actually just taming that in you as well is good.
I know. It's all, I think just my nature is that I like to do lots and lots of hard sessions, and obviously you can't. And it's about learning to enjoy the aerobic sessions as well. It's not always about going hard.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. And are you missing the pool just now?
So much. I see pictures of pools like on Instagram. It's awful. I want to move away just to get to a pool.
Do you do any outdoor swimming at all?
I did, but I have Raynaud's syndrome. So once it gets below 12 degrees, I am in so much pain I can't do it. So,
yeah.
I would be otherwise, but.
Yeah, I hear it has so many benefits, but it's not for me. It's not for me. So
at the end.
So you're 17, still in your final year at high school. Mm-hmm. How many hours a week would you say that you're training, and how do you manage to balance all of that? Does school have to do any what's the word? Are they having to let you do something less at school? I can't think of what I'm trying to say. How do you balance it?
So it's always been a hard task, especially when I was doing my hires last year. It was a full timetable, so it's quite hard to balance. But now I'm in 6th year. The school allowed me to take 3 subjects rather than 4 because I got the grades I need at higher. So I have extra time to train this year. And now with online learning, training about 16 hours a week, 50K running. So a lot of my mornings are taken up by training. Like I'll get up, have breakfast, and go out training. Often 2 sessions a day, which I enjoy doing back to back. So for example, this morning I was on the turbo for an hour and a half, and I went out for an hour run straight off the bike just to get it done, because otherwise I get really anxious because I really want to go and do it. I get excited. It's fair. And then I'll be doing schoolwork after that, and I'm also doing my level 2 coaching course. So
good for you. That's great. Good for you. So let's wind back a bit. So you said you get after breakfast. So you're about to do a 2.5 hour pretty intense session. Nutrition. What are you eating? What did you have for breakfast this morning?
What did I have for breakfast? I had a bagel, a Montreal bagel, because my dad makes them. They're amazing. A large cup of coffee was needed, especially this morning. And then I had a bowl of porridge. My dad makes homemade muesli, so I mix it with milk and make it into a porridge with some blueberries. So that kept me going.
Okay. And are you eating? I mean, that sounds really good for you. But are you also eating on the go as well, or do you nibble in on any energy bars or almonds or,
Well, I had some Cliff energy blocks before I went out for my run, because otherwise get a stitch sometimes if it's too hard to digest. But that gave me the energy. I was a bit tired once I came back in at the end of 2.5 hours. But
I was going to say, did you go for? I like the black cherry ones.
Yeah, they're my favorite.
Yeah, but they do have the caffeine in them, so that's a lot of caffeine in your body today.
Caffeine is.
And will you and are you fine then for the rest of the day, or will you, I mean, that's, as I say, a 2.5 hour session, are you having a little power nap, or can you just go straight through your schoolwork and you're fine?
Well, I always need about an hour on the sofa, not talking to anyone. I'm not a napper. Like, I should in theory go for a nap, but I just can't do it. I can't sleep during the day, so I normally have my sofa time where I sit and watch rubbish TV and don't talk to anyone, and that helps me recover after an hour. I'm good as new, so it's good. Amazing.
That sounds great. What would you say then? So you're obviously competitive, but what would you say drives you? What is your motivation? Do you know, or is it just something you just love it?
Well, at the start, it was always just I loved it. I loved it so much, and it was I want to get to a higher level. And now, obviously, I race professional, so there's still some levels to climb up, and I would love to go to the Olympics. But also in 2016, my older brother passed away, and unexpectedly, and he was always such a big supporter of me and my triathlon, and he would love to come train with me. So part of me is doing it for him because I know he wants to see me succeed. So
yeah, well, I'm really sorry to hear that, but I think you're right in that using his memory and knowing him as you did, that he'd be such a positive force for you. Then that's a really good driving force, isn't it?
Yeah, always just I have such a hunger to race, and I'm not a competitive person in normal life, but as soon as I'm on a start line, I love racing. It's just the best thing ever. So I couldn't imagine not training and not racing. So.
Yeah. And are you a bad loser?
I have a 24-hour rule. Like, I get very upset when I don't. It's not about not winning, but when I just feel like I didn't perform as well as I could have, and I didn't push as hard as I could have. Yeah. Even in training, I get a little bit frustrated when I could have gone harder. But I mean, especially training an hour later is gone out of my mind next session. But with racing, about 12 hours, and I'm like, okay, I'm better in 24 hours. Forgot about it, on to the next thing. So
cool. Because you can always use it as a driving force again, can't you? That if you've you can think, right, I could have pushed harder there. Next time I will. Yeah. And are there, so this triathlon scene, are there girls around you that you know I should be beating her, or that's the girl that she's going to be in front, but I'm going to be able to catch up with her? Are all the tactics and the
well, there's so many tactics in triathlon because you have 3 disciplines. You need to pace yourself, especially over sprint distances. But I think you come to understand people's strengths and weaknesses. So this girl's a stronger swimmer, I'll try and stay on her feet, and this person's not a strong cyclist, so I'll catch them. And you just really have to understand your competitors as well as yourself, and really come up on the go. You can't have too much of a tactics because you don't know how other people are going to perform or what's going to happen. So it's really about adapting to your surroundings, and like if you're in a bike group, who you're in a group with really matters. Like it's a lot to think about. It's just as much a mental game as physical.
Oh yeah, definitely. Mm-hmm. And normally would you be training with others?
Yeah, normally I'd be training in Glasgow with my group, and I also race for a French team, so I go on training camps with them in France. And then to Canada during the summer, I train with a team there. So I love training with a group, so it was a bit of a adaptation when came along, had to train all alone. But
I know, I think a lot of athletes of all the different disciplines are really missing other athletes just now, aren't they? Yeah, just having to adapt. I saw a really funny clip. I'll just finish on this. There was a couple down in England somewhere, and they filled their paddling pool in their garden with water, and it's obviously icing up overnight. So they're having to go out in the morning with a pickaxe and kind of get this, I don't know, inch thick ice to come off. And then this lady has a bungee rope around her stomach. So this is a paddling pool. You know, it's enough for it's a big paddling pool, but it's enough for an adult, and it's deep. And she is doing her, was she doing breaststroke, or anyway, she just with the bungee, she's staying in place, and that's her swimming pool. And I just thought, I was full of admiration. I just think, gosh, you're missing your swimming that much that you're willing to go out in your garden and do that. Yeah. Oh, well, listen, Isla, thank you so much for chatting to me. I find that all so interesting, and I'm going to watch from the sidelines and just see you go up and up and up. And you'll need to get a bigger and bigger trophy cabinet, I'm sure.
My room is filled with all these old numbers and medals and stuff.
Oh, brilliant. All right. Thank you, Isla.
very much. Of course.